All right, everyone, let's jump right in. As future pharmacists, this is a topic you are absolutely going to face every single day of your career: the hidden dangers that pop up when common herbs and prescription drugs mix. Think of this as your essential briefing to get you ready for what's really out there.
So take a look at this. You're going to have patients taking combos just like this all the time. Herbal supplements, certain foods, their prescribed meds. And a lot of them do it thinking, they're doing something extra for their health, but they're totally in the dark about the serious risks. This is the exact puzzle you'll have to solve.
And that brings us to the big one, the core question. Your patients will say, oh, it's just an herb, it's natural, it has to be safe. But as we're about to find out, that assumption isn't just wrong, it can be a really dangerous oversimplification. Your clinical expertise is what stands between that belief and a potential disaster.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to tear down that natural is safe myth. Then, we'll dive into the science, the two main ways these interactions happen. We'll put a spotlight on the top herbal troublemakers you need on your radar, talk about when food picks a fight with drugs, and then wrap it all up with why your role in this is so incredibly critical.
First up, let's tackle this head-on. This idea is everywhere, but it's super risky. The belief that something grown in the ground can't possibly cause harm when you mix it with a highly specific, lab-engineered drug, well, that's a major misunderstanding we have to clear up.
Just so we're all on the same page, let's use the official definition from the World Health Organization. We're not just talking about a cup of tea here. We're talking about actual medicinal products packaged and sold because they have active ingredients that come from plants. Now this is the key to the whole thing. A typical drug is, one single chemical doing one specific job. An herb? It's more like a chemical soup, a whole cocktail of different active compounds. Just by the numbers, that complexity means the chance of an herb-drug interaction is often way higher than even some drug-drug interactions.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this all happens. Really getting this part down is what's going to make you a true clinical expert, not just someone counting pills. These interactions basically happen in two major ways. So here's the main distinction you got to remember. Pharmacokinetic, that's all about changing the amount of a drug in the body, its concentration. Pharmacodynamic, on the other hand, changes what the drug actually does once it gets to its target. So one messes with the level, the other messes with the effect.
Let's unpack pharmacokinetics for a sec. You all remember ADME from class, right? Absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. It's the story of what the body does to the drug. If an herb gets in the way of any of those steps, a drug's concentration can shoot up to toxic levels or drop so low it doesn't even work anymore.
And this right here is a huge piece of the puzzle, the cytochrome P450 system. Think of these enzymes as the body's main processing plant for drugs. Well, a ton of common herbs can either block these enzymes, which makes drug levels skyrocket, or speed them up, making the drug disappear too fast. The CYP system is basically the main battlefield for these interactions.
Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. We're going to build a high-risk watch list. I can almost guarantee you will see patients taking these, so you need to know them like the back of your hand. And number one on our list is St. John's wort. It's crazy popular for depression, so you'll definitely see it. But its power to cause interactions is enormous. It's probably one of the most important herbs you'll ever have to deal with.
And here's why it's such a big deal. It revs up those CYP enzymes, which means it can tank the levels of essential drugs like warfarin or digoxin, leading to total treatment failure. Or you mix it with an SSRI, and you could trigger serotonin syndrome, which can be fatal. It can even make birth control pills stop working. We are not talking about small stuff here.
All right, next up, ginkgo biloba. People take this hoping it'll sharpen their memory. But what they don't realize is that it has blood-thinning effects, and that, as you can guess, creates a huge bleeding risk when it's mixed with other common meds.
The real danger here is that it interacts with things people think are totally harmless. Yeah, it messes with warfarin, but it also increases bleeding risk with over-the-counter stuff like aspirin and ibuprofen. And get this, there's a case report of it causing a coma when taken with trazodone. That is a major, major red flag.
Now let's talk about ginseng. It's marketed as this general health tonic, an adaptogen, but its effects on blood sugar and blood clotting are no joke, which means it's especially dangerous for your diabetic patients or anyone on a blood thinner like warfarin.
So what you've got here is a direct conflict. It can make warfarin less effective, which puts a patient at risk for a clot. For someone on insulin, It can actually push their blood sugar into the danger zone, dangerously low. And heck, even mixing it with their morning coffee can cause heart palpitations and high blood pressure.
But wait, the risk doesn't end with a bottle of supplements. The very food on your patient's plate can go to war with their medications. Let's quickly run through some of the most common food interactions you absolutely need to be asking about.
Think of this table as your clinical cheat sheet. For warfarin and leafy greens, the magic word isn't avoid, it's consistency. With grapefruit juice and drugs like statins, it's a hard no. Just avoid it completely to prevent toxic levels. For antibiotics like tetracycline, it's all about timing. Keep it at least 2 hours away from dairy. And metronidazole and alcohol, an absolute no-go, unless they want to experience a truly miserable reaction. This is the practical advice patients need.
So, we've gone through the science, we've talked about the big culprits, now let's bring it all back to you. Because this knowledge isn't just for exams, it's the bedrock of your professional duty to keep patients safe.
This is your mission, right here, in 4 simple steps. 1. Always ask. Don't ever wait for them to tell you. 2. Get specific. Don't just say supplements. Ask about herbal products, vitamins, teas, and any big changes to their diet. 3. Document every single thing. And 4, use what you know to educate them and guide them to a safer choice.
And this quote just drives the point home. Labels should be better, but they often aren't. And that part about recommending a consultation with medical carers, guess what? That's you. You are that expert. You are that critical safety net.
I really want you to let this one sink in. More than the doctor who wrote the script, more than whatever it says on the bottle, the conversation you have with a patient, the questions you decide to ask and the advice you give, that is often the single most important thing that prevents a serious, maybe even fatal interaction.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. As you get ready to put on that white coat for real, with all these hidden dangers we've just talked about in your mind, what is the very first question you're going to ask your next patient when you're going over all their medications?